I am aware of a truth that transcends the physical realm, a truth that once fully understood forever transforms the way we live and experience this world. For a long time, I too believed that the world around me dictated my circumstances, my body, my wealth, my destiny. But in my heart, I felt a stirring, an awakening to a deeper power within me. I began to realize that the world I see is not the world I am subject to. I do not need to be bound by my present reality. I can create anew at any moment. It was not the external world that needed changing. No, it was my belief about it, my perception of myself that needed to shift. I saw myself not as a limited being, but as a vast, powerful creator, capable of shaping my life, my form, and my experiences. When I looked in the mirror, I no longer saw only what was physically present. I saw what I desired to be. I saw myself as already tall, already confident. I closed my eyes and imagined a body that matched the height I desired, one that radiated strength and vitality. In those moments of stillness, when I shut out the noise of the world, I experienced myself as this taller version of me. It was not a wish nor a hope, but a certainty. I felt it, I lived it. My body, my bones, my muscles, they all responded to this inner vision. But the body is not the only thing that can be molded by the mind. My financial situation, once an area of limitation, transformed in the same way. I began to imagine abundance, not as something I had to chase or earn, but as a state of being. Wealth, I realized, was not something outside of me. It was a reflection of my inner belief in my own worth. I began to see myself already living a life of prosperity. I walked in that state of abundance, spoke from that state, and interacted with the world as though I were already the rich person I imagined myself to be. I did not wait for external circumstances to change. I did not wait for validation or approval. I understood that my reality is born from my thoughts, from my assumption, and from my inner vision of what I desire to be true. And so I assumed my greatness. I assumed my height, my wealth, my power as already mine. The outer world, as it always does, conformed to my inner assumption. My body grew, and my life became a reflection of the abundance I had embraced within. Every day, I reaffirmed my new self-image. I walked taller, I acted richer, I believed fully in the transformation I had created within myself. And as I did, the physical world could not help but shift to meet my new state of being. Now I stand in this new life, not as someone who has reached the end of a journey, but as someone who knows that each moment, each thought, is a step in the constant unfolding of my divine potential. I am the master of my body, my mind, and my reality. I do not seek to manifest things outside of me. I seek to become, to embody, to assume. And in doing so, the world reflects back to me the heights and riches I once only dreamed of. I began to understand that the only limit to my life, my body, and my wealth was the limit I placed upon myself. For a long time, I had believed in the limitations of the world, in the conditioning of society, and in the false narrative that my current circumstances were permanent, set in stone. I had become conditioned to believe that the only way to grow was through hard work, struggle, and sacrifice. I thought that to be tall, I had to be born tall. I thought that to be wealthy, I had to toil endlessly in a job that drained me. I had bought into the belief that life had to happen to me rather than for me. But something deep within me stirred, something beyond the voice of logic or reason, calling me to wake up and see a different reality, one where I was not the victim, but the creator. I began to realize that everything in my life was a result of my beliefs, assumptions, and perceptions. The world was not as it appeared. It was a reflection, a mirror, showing me who I believed myself to be. If I was dissatisfied with what I saw, it was not the world that needed to change, but my perception of it. I understood that I could change my body, change my life by changing the story I was telling myself. The power was within me all along. At first it was difficult to truly believe in this power. I had been so conditioned to rely on the external world, on facts, on science, and on what I could see and touch. But I realized that the most powerful forces in the universe were not those I could see, but those I could feel and imagine. I began to test the limits of this power, to see if it was truly possible to change my reality through imagination alone. I began to imagine myself taller. I imagined myself walking with confidence, with a stature that commanded respect and admiration. I didn't just think about it, I felt it. I embodied it. I saw myself from the perspective of a taller person, seeing the world from above, standing proud and tall, feeling a sense of strength in my legs and spine. I saw my reflection in my mind's eye, and it was clear and vivid. I felt the stretch in my limbs, the lengthening of my form, as if it was happening in real time. And as I continued to dwell in this new image of myself, something extraordinary began to occur. My body started to change. It was subtle at first, a slight difference in my posture, a shift in the way I carried myself, but over time it became undeniable. I stood taller, my clothes fit differently, and the way people responded to me changed. I no longer shrank in the presence of others. I felt larger, more expansive. It was as if the world had been waiting for me to see myself differently, and once I did, it mirrored that change back to me. But this wasn't just about my body. It was about my entire life. As I began to see myself as tall and powerful, I also began to see myself as deserving of more, deserving of wealth, deserving of success. I began to imagine my life overflowing with abundance, with opportunities, with the freedom to live as I chose. I did not have to work harder or hustle more. I simply had to accept that I was worthy of everything I desired. I assumed the role of a person who had already attained great wealth and success. I imagined the lifestyle, the freedom, the choices that came with it. I felt the excitement of financial security, of being able to give freely, to travel without worry, to enjoy the pleasures of life without restraint. I imagined myself in a home that reflected my prosperity, driving the car I desired, enjoying the experiences I once thought were reserved for others. But more than just the material possessions, I imagined the way I felt in this new life. I felt at peace, at ease, joyful. I didn't have to chase anything. Everything I needed was already within me. I began to radiate this confidence and assurance, and as I did, the opportunities began to manifest. People who could help me on my journey appeared in my life. The right circumstances unfolded effortlessly, and the doors I once thought were closed to me began to open. The world was no longer a place of limitation. It was a field of possibility, waiting for me to claim it. I stopped doubting. I stopped wondering if I was doing it right, if I was imagining the right things, if I was worthy enough. I embraced the truth that the power was never about doing, it was about being. It was about embodying the version of myself I wished to become. And the more I embodied that version of myself, the more my external world rearranged itself to align with that vision. My wealth grew, not because I chased it, but because I recognized that it was already mine to claim. I no longer saw money as something I had to struggle for or compete for. It was a natural byproduct of my belief in my own worth. The key to this transformation was understanding that my assumptions were not just thoughts or wishes. They were the fabric of my reality. I was not just thinking about change, I was assuming it as a fact. I assumed that I was tall, that I was abundant, that I was powerful. I did not wait for the world to show me that these things were true. I knew they were true in the unseen, and in doing so, the world shifted. My body grew, and my life blossomed. But it wasn't always easy. There were moments of doubt, of fear, of temptation to revert to old patterns of thinking. There were times when the evidence in the physical world did not align with the changes I was imagining. But I knew that what I saw in front of me was not the truth of who I was. It was simply a reflection of past assumptions, of past beliefs. I learned to disregard the outer world as mere illusion. I focused on the inner world, on the images I held in my mind, on the feelings I cultivated within my heart. And gradually those inner changes began to manifest on the outside. I began to realize that the world is not as fixed as it seems. Everything is fluid, malleable, subject to change. The laws of the universe are not external forces acting upon us. They are internal truths that we can align ourselves with. I had always believed that to change my body or my circumstances, I had to work hard or suffer through the process. But the truth was that change came effortlessly when I aligned my inner world with the outer world I desired. When I saw myself as tall and abundant, I was not forcing anything. I was simply assuming the truth of my desires. I was imagining them into being. And as I did, the world could not help but reflect back the new assumptions I had made. The transformation was not just physical or financial, it was spiritual. I had come to realize that I am not limited by time, space, or circumstance. I am the creator of my reality. I am the one who determines who I am, what I have, and what I experience. The power to manifest a taller body, a richer life, or anything else I desire lies within me, waiting to be claimed. The key is to believe, to assume, and to embody the truth of who I am at the deepest level of my being. As I stand now, taller and more abundant, I know that this journey is not about reaching a destination. It is about realizing the truth of who I am, moment by moment. It is about understanding that I am not the sum of my past experiences, but the creator of my future. Every thought, every assumption, every belief shapes the world around me. And with each new belief, I step into a new version of myself, a new reality, one where I am free to create and manifest all that I desire. The world is not a place where I must fight for what I want. It is a place where I can simply be who I am meant to be, and watch as the universe mirrors that back to me. My body, my wealth, my life, they are not fixed. They are reflections of the assumptions I hold in my heart, and as I continue to embody the version of myself I wish to become, the world will continue to transform in ways I cannot yet fully comprehend. But I trust in the process, for I know that I am the creator of my reality, and I am never bound by the limitations of the world. I am free to be, and in that freedom, everything I desire is already mine. The more I embraced this truth, the more I saw that the only thing standing between me and the life I desired was my own resistance to it. I began to understand that I had been holding myself back for years by clinging to outdated beliefs about who I was and what I could achieve. I had accepted the limitations imposed on me by society, by family, by my own mind. But as I grew in understanding, I realized that those limitations were self-imposed. I had given them power by continuing to believe in them, to feed them with my thoughts and assumptions. One of the most powerful realizations I had was that the world, as I saw it, was merely a reflection of my inner state. If I wanted to change my circumstances, I first had to change my perception of them. The power to manifest, to create my reality, lay within me, not in the world around me. I no longer needed to wait for the world to change before I could experience the life I desired. I could change it right now, simply by changing the way I thought, felt, and assumed. It was a radical shift in perception, a shift that would lead me to become the person I was always meant to be. I began to see that manifestation was not about wishing for things to happen or waiting for the right circumstances. It was about embodying the end result, the feeling of having already achieved what I desired. When I wanted to grow taller, I didn't focus on how to make it happen. I simply assumed that it had already happened. I felt what it would be like to walk through the world with the height I wanted. I imagined the freedom, the confidence, the way I would carry myself. And in doing so, my body began to respond to this new image I had created. I didn't try to control the process or figure out how it would happen. I simply trusted that it was already unfolding in the way it needed to. The same was true for wealth. I had spent years believing that I needed to struggle, to hustle, to compete, to prove myself worthy of success. But when I began to shift my perspective, I realized that abundance was already available to me, just as it was available to everyone else. I didn't need to struggle to earn it. I simply had to accept that I was worthy of it, to assume that I was already living the life of abundance I desired. I began to see myself as someone who effortlessly attracted opportunities, wealth, and success. I saw myself living in a state of abundance, where money flowed to me freely, and I felt the joy of being able to share that abundance with others. I stopped worrying about how or when things would come to me. I simply knew they would. I became aware of how often I had previously doubted myself, how often I had looked at my current circumstances and let them dictate what I thought was possible for me. I had allowed my past to define my future. But now I was free from the constraints of the past. I knew that my future was mine to create, that it was not bound by the limitations of my past experiences or circumstances. The key was to stop looking at the world through the lens of scarcity and limitation, and to start seeing it through the lens of abundance and possibility. Every day I practiced this new way of thinking. I practiced living as though the changes I desired had already occurred. I imagined my taller self walking confidently through the world. I imagined my richer self enjoying the freedom that came with abundance. I did not wait for the outside world to tell me that it was possible. I knew it already, deep within my being. The more I focused on these new assumptions, the more my external reality began to align with them. I didn't need to see the evidence first. I understood that the evidence would come after I had assumed the truth of my desires. The physical world was simply a reflection of my inner state, and as I changed that inner state, the outer world had no choice but to change with it. In those early days of change, I also came to understand the importance of persistence and faith. It was not enough to simply think about what I wanted once and then expect it to appear. I had to continue to embody the belief that it was already mine. I had to trust that the process was already underway, even if I couldn't see the results immediately. I understood that the outer world had to catch up with my inner assumptions, and that sometimes that took time, but I was patient. I knew that everything I desired was already in the process of unfolding. I had to trust that what I imagined was real, and that the universe was already moving in my favor. This trust in the process became one of the most powerful tools I had. Whenever doubt would creep in, whenever I would begin to question if I was doing it right, I would return to my vision. I would remember the truth that everything I desired was already within me, already a part of my being. I didn't need to force anything. I simply had to allow it to come into being. The process was already happening, even when I couldn't see it. In the moments when I began to doubt or feel discouraged, I would remind myself of the power I had within me. I would remember the countless stories of people who had transformed their lives by simply changing their assumptions and beliefs. I would remember that the power of imagination was not just a fleeting daydream, but a real, tangible force that could reshape the fabric of reality. I would remember that I was not bound by time or circumstance, that I had the ability to create my own destiny. And in those moments, my faith would be restored. I would return to my assumption that my life was already as I desired it to be, and I would continue on my path. I also realized that the key to this process was not in trying to control every aspect of my life, but in trusting the natural flow of life. I didn't need to force things to happen. I didn't need to chase after them or try to make them fit into a specific timeline. I simply had to trust that the universe would deliver what I needed at the perfect time. When I relaxed into this trust, when I let go of the need to control, things began to fall into place with ease. Opportunities began to present themselves effortlessly. People who could help me on my journey appeared in my life. And I knew that this was simply the result of my assumptions coming to fruition. As my body grew taller, I also grew stronger mentally and emotionally. I stopped identifying with the old version of myself, the version that believed it was too late to change, the version that accepted mediocrity as normal. I began to identify with the new version of myself, the person who knew that transformation was always possible, the person who saw challenges as opportunities, the person who trusted in their ability to create anything they desired. And with that identification came an unshakable confidence that everything I wanted was already on its way to me. It became clear that there was no limit to what I could manifest. The more I practiced this process of assumption, the more I realized that the only limits I had were the ones I imposed on myself. I could go taller. I could manifest wealth. I could create the life I wanted, all by assuming it to be true. The power was within me, not in the external world. I was not at the mercy of circumstances. I was the creator of my circumstance. Each day I would walk through the world as if everything I desired was already mine. I would hold myself with the confidence of someone who had already achieved their goals. I would make decisions from the place of the person I was becoming, not from the person I had been. And with each decision, I was reaffirming my power, reaffirming my belief in my ability to create my reality. The world responded in kind, matching my assumptions and reflecting back to me the life I was claiming for myself. As I continued this journey, I realized that the process of manifestation is not something that happens overnight. It is a continual unfolding, a daily practice of assuming the truth of what I desire. But it is also a process of trust, of knowing that what I want is already on its way. The key is to remain faithful to the assumption that everything is already mine, even when the evidence is not yet visible in the physical world. The more I do this, the more the world shows me that it is indeed true. I have learned that the power to change my body, my life, and my circumstances has always been within me. I am not at the mercy of the world. The world is at the mercy of my assumptions. The more I claim my power, the more I see that everything I desire is already being brought to me. The only thing required of me is to assume the truth of it, to believe it without doubt, and to walk as though it has already happened. And as I continue to walk this path, I know that there are no limits to what I can achieve. The body I desire is mine. The life I dream of is already here. And the more I embody this truth, the more the world reflects it back to me. I am the creator of my reality, and nothing is impossible. The power is within me, always has been, always will be. There came a time when I stopped measuring my progress by the visible changes in my life, and instead began to measure it by the shifts in my internal world. The true transformation wasn't in waiting for the world to change for me, but in understanding that the world was merely an echo of the inner assumptions I held. The more I internalized this truth, the more I began to realize that the only real work I had to do was to hold steadfast to the assumptions I was nurturing. It was not about trying to control every detail or making things happen with effort. It was about trusting that everything I desired was already unfolding, and all I had to do was embody the truth of it. The body, the wealth, the circumstances, they are all born from my belief in them. And the power of my belief lies not in how loudly I affirm, but in how deeply I believe and feel the truth of what I desire. The deeper I allowed myself to feel the reality of my taller body and my richer life, the more those feelings began to manifest. This sensation of already being tall, of already being rich, began to infuse every moment of my life, and it was this that created the foundation upon which my new reality was built. The body itself, though it seemed so physical and fixed, was not immune to the power of assumption. I began to notice the subtle shifts in how I carried myself, how I stood, how I moved. I no longer saw myself as someone limited by my height. I no longer identified with the physical constraints of my past. In my mind, I was already the person who walked through life with the stature I desired, And as I did so, I noticed that my body began to respond. It was not an instant transformation, but the subtle shifts were undeniable. I stood taller, my posture improved, and even the way people interacted with me changed. I felt the world beginning to reflect the new assumption I held about myself. It was the same with wealth. I had spent years feeling that money was something I had to chase, something I had to earn through hard work and struggle. But as I began to assume that wealth was already part of my life, I started to feel the abundance around me. In the smallest things and the greatest, I felt grateful for what I had, knowing that gratitude was a magnetic force that would only attract more. I felt a sense of security that came not from external sources, but from my own belief in my worth. I no longer saw wealth as something distant, something I had to strive for. I understood that it was already mine. I just had to assume it. I found that the more I assumed abundance, the more abundance flowed to me. Opportunities came out of nowhere. Financial resources appeared at unexpected times, and I began to see my life expanding in ways I had not imagined possible. But what struck me most was the way I began to feel. I no longer lived in a state of lack, I lived in a state of abundance, and that shifted everything. The abundance I once chased was now chasing me. The opportunities I once believed were for others were now mine. I saw how my inner shift had attracted everything I needed, and it became clear that the only thing that had ever been limiting me was my own belief that I wasn't worthy or capable of achieving such things. And as I continued to practice this way of living, I started to see that the same principles that governed my body and my wealth also governed every other area of my life. I had always thought that success in one area of life meant sacrifices in others, but I now saw that there was no need for sacrifice. My new understanding was that the more I accepted the fullness of my desires in all areas, the more the universe would reflect that back to me. The more I accepted my body's potential for change, the more it changed. The more I accepted the idea that I could have both wealth and peace, abundance and ease, the more I saw those things manifest in my life. But it wasn't just about the external changes. It was about the internal transformation, the shift in how I saw myself and how I understood the world. I stopped seeing myself as a passive observer in my life and began to see myself as an active creator. I no longer waited for things to happen. I no longer blamed circumstances or other people for my lack of progress. I took full responsibility for my experience because I understood that my assumptions were the driving force behind everything that was unfolding in my life. With each passing day, I grew more confident in my ability to manifest anything I desired. I learned to trust the process and understand that the changes I wanted were already underway, even when they were not immediately visible. The world around me was simply a reflection of what I had assumed to be true, and as I shifted my assumptions, the world shifted with it. I was no longer waiting for something to happen. I was living as though everything I wanted had already happened. I was assuming the end result, living from the place of already having it. I learned that the power of assumption is not limited to just the big things in life like wealth and body transformation. It applies to everything. I began to notice the small ways in which my assumptions shaped my experience, whether it was in my relationships, my career, or my daily interactions with others. I saw how the assumptions I held about myself and the world were creating the reality around me. And as I became more aware of this, I realized that the true key to transformation was not in waiting for the world to change for me, but in assuming that the change had already occurred. It was in embodying the person I wanted to be, in assuming that my desires were already fulfilled, and in living in alignment with that assumption every single day. This shift in perception was nothing short of liberating. I no longer felt as though I was at the mercy of life's circumstances. I no longer believed that I had to wait for things to get better. I realized that I was the one who had the power to change my life. And the more I embraced that power, the more my life reflected the changes I was making on the inside. I saw that the only real obstacle in my way was my own resistance to fully stepping into the person I was meant to be. The moment I stopped resisting, everything began to flow effortlessly. But the most powerful realization of all came when I understood that I was not just creating a new body or a richer life, I was creating a new version of myself, one that was aligned with the truth of who I really am. I wasn't trying to make myself into someone I wasn't. I was simply uncovering the truth of my divine potential. And as I stepped more fully into that potential, the world around me responded with the richness, the abundance, and the power that I had always known, deep down, were mine to claim. The key was never in forcing things or struggling to make them happen. It was in assuming that everything I desired was already mine, and then stepping into that reality, fully trusting in the process of manifestation. I stopped measuring success by the external markers of time, achievement, and validation. I measured it by the alignment of my internal world with my desires. I measured it by the peace I felt within myself, the certainty that I was already living the life I had imagined. And as I did, the universe responded by bringing everything I had imagined into my experience. This journey was never about waiting for the world to give me permission to be tall, to be rich, to be free. It was about giving myself permission to claim it. I didn't need to wait for the right circumstances. I didn't need to wait for the right time. I didn't need to wait for anything at all. I realized that the only thing I had to do was accept my own power and live as though everything I wanted was already mine. And so I continue to walk this path with the certainty that everything I desire is already on its way to me. I no longer look for evidence in the external world. I create the evidence within myself first. The world is not out to get me. It is here to reflect back to me the assumptions I hold. And as I continue to assume, to believe, and to embody the truth of who I am, the world will continue to shift, bringing me the tall body, the abundant life, and the freedom I have claimed as my own. In conclusion, the power to transform our lives lies within us. Our reality is shaped by the assumptions and beliefs we hold. By embodying the belief that what we desire is already ours, we align with the universe and create the life we dream of. Transformation isn't about waiting for the perfect circumstances, but about trusting the process and stepping into our true power. When we assume the end result and live from that place, the world responds. You have the power to manifest your desires. Embrace it, trust it, and live as though it is already true. There comes a time in life when the voice of God speaks so clearly that to ignore it is to invite suffering. You feel the weight in your heart, the whisper in your soul, the quiet yet firm pull that tells you it is time to let them go. And yet you resist. You hold on, gripping so tightly to what once was, afraid that if you release, you will lose a part of yourself. But hear this: what is truly yours by divine right can never be taken away, and what is not meant for you will only bring delay, stagnation, and pain. God does not take from you to punish you, He removes to align you. There are relationships that have served their purpose, seasons that have completed their course, and people who were never meant to stay. But the human heart clings, not realizing that what it grasps onto so desperately is the very thing blocking its blessing. You must trust that what leaves is making room for something greater, something divinely appointed, something that will elevate you beyond your current comprehension. It is not your duty to beg for someone to see your worth. It is not your calling to convince someone to stay. When God shows you who people are, believe Him the first time. Do not rewrite the script. Do not try to turn a goodbye into a pause. When the signs are clear, when the actions do not align with love, when the energy shifts, trust that the chapter is ending for a reason. Your resistance does not change the will of God. It only prolongs the lesson. Many fear that in letting go, they will be left with nothing, but that is an illusion. The void that follows is not emptiness. It is sacred space. It is where healing happens. where revelation occurs, where new blessings are planted. If you hold on to a door that God has closed, you miss the one He is waiting to open. You cannot walk into your divine future while dragging the weight of your past. Release with grace. Walk away with faith. Letting go is not loss, it is alignment. The pain of separation is temporary, but the peace of obedience is eternal. You may not understand it now, but there will come a day when you look back and see the divine orchestration. You will see how every removal was protection, how every ending was a beginning, how every goodbye was a whispered blessing. Let them go, move forward. God has something far greater ahead. There is a moment when the soul recognizes what the heart refuses to accept. That moment when God whispers, or sometimes even shouts, that it is time to walk away. Yet the human spirit, in its longing for familiarity, resists. It rationalizes, it hopes, it prays for things to be different, for people to change, for the situation to align with our desires. But God, in His infinite wisdom, sees beyond what we can see. He knows what is weighing us down, what is hindering our purpose, what is keeping us from the life He has designed for us. And so He begins to strip away what no longer serves us, what no longer feeds our spirit, what no longer aligns with our destiny. At first it feels like loss. It feels like punishment. The void left behind seems unbearable, like a wound that refuses to heal. But what if this pain is not a curse, but a blessing in disguise? What if this separation is not rejection, but redirection? What if God is preparing you for something greater, something that requires you to be free, unburdened, and fully aligned with His will? The discomfort you feel is not meant to break you, but to break you open, to release the chains of attachment, to shatter the illusions that have kept you bound, to awaken you to the divine truth that you are meant for more. You must understand that not everyone who enters your life is meant to stay. Some people come as lessons, some as tests, some as stepping stones to guide you to the next level. And when their time is up, holding on to them will only cause suffering. The mistake many make is confusing longevity with destiny. Just because someone has been in your life for years does not mean they are meant to be in your future. Some relationships are for a season, some friendships are for a chapter, and some connections are meant to dissolve so that you can step fully into who you are meant to be. God has seen the private battles you have fought. He has heard the silent cries, the prayers whispered in the dark, the moments when your heart ached for love that was not returned, for loyalty that was betrayed, for understanding that never came. He knows the weight you have carried, the exhaustion of trying to hold together what was already falling apart. And so He steps in, not because He wants you to suffer, but because He wants you to heal. He wants you to stop chasing what is running away, to stop watering what is already dead, to stop clinging to what no longer belongs to you. Letting go is not easy. The mind will replay memories, will remind you of the good times, will whisper fears of loneliness, of regret, of the unknown. But you must silence those voices and tune into a greater truth. Anything that requires you to beg, to shrink, to lose yourself in order to keep it, is not from God. Anything that drains your spirit, that disrupts your peace, that pulls you away from your purpose, is not meant for you. God does not call you into suffering. He calls you into peace, into joy, into fulfillment. And sometimes the only way to receive those blessings is to release the things that are blocking them. The human heart, in its desire for love and belonging, often settles. It holds on to toxic relationships out of fear, fear of being alone, fear of starting over, fear of not finding better. But God never removes without replacing. He never asks you to let go without having something greater in store. The problem is that many refuse to trust the process. They hold on to the old because they do not yet see the new. But faith is trusting in what is unseen. Faith is walking away even when you do not know what comes next. Faith is believing that if God is telling you to release, it is because He has already prepared something better for you. The enemy will try to convince you otherwise. He will use your emotions against you, will fill your mind with doubts, will make you question your worth, your decisions, your future. But you must stand firm. You must remind yourself that you are not being abandoned, you are being elevated. That what is leaving your life is not a loss, but a necessary shift. That every ending is a divine setup for something greater. It is not your responsibility to make someone see your value. It is not your job to prove your worth to those who do not recognize it. You are a child of God, and anyone who cannot see the light within you is not meant to walk this journey with you. Stop fighting for a place in the lives of those who do not fight for you. Stop giving your energy to those who only take and never pour back into you. Stop seeking love in places where love does not truly exist. You deserve to be surrounded by those who uplift you, who cherish you, who see the beauty in you without you having to constantly prove it. And if someone cannot do that, then they are not your people. If someone does not appreciate your presence, then they should not have access to you. If someone repeatedly shows you through their actions that they do not value you, then you must believe them and walk away. God is not just calling you to let them go. He is calling you to heal, to rise, to step into a new level of faith, to trust that what He has for you is far greater than anything you are leaving behind, to believe that the love, the joy, the peace you seek is already on its way to you. But it cannot reach you if you are still holding on to what is not meant for you. The growth requires separation, transformation requires release. Evolution requires shedding the old so that the new can emerge. And this process, though painful, is necessary. You may not see it now, but one day you will look back and understand why things had to happen the way they did. You will see how every closed door led you to something better, how every goodbye was a redirection towards something greater, how every loss was actually a gain. But you do not have to wait for hindsight to trust God's plan. You can choose to trust it now. You can choose to surrender. You can choose to release with grace, to walk away with faith, to step into your future with confidence, knowing that you are divinely guided, divinely protected, divinely loved. God is telling you to let them go, not because He wants to hurt you, but because He wants to heal you. Not because He wants to take from you, but because He wants to give to you. Not because He is punishing you, but because He is preparing you for something far beyond what you can imagine. You are not alone. You are not forgotten. You are being led. Trust the process. Let go. Move forward. Something far greater is waiting for you. You are standing at the edge of something new, something unseen, something greater than what you have known. Yet your heart hesitates. It clings to what is familiar, even when that familiarity has brought nothing but pain. There is a divine whisper within you, a knowing so deep that it cannot be ignored. It is God's voice, guiding you, urging you, reminding you that what you are holding on to is no longer meant for you. And yet you resist. You bargain with God, asking Him to change the situation, to fix what is broken, to make them stay. But God does not operate through force. He operates through alignment. And when something is no longer in alignment with your purpose, He will remove it, not to hurt you, but to heal you. You were not meant to live in a state of attachment to what drains you. You were not created to suffer under the weight of relationships that no longer serve your highest good. Yet so often people stay where they do not belong out of fear, out of obligation, out of the false belief that letting go means failure. But what if letting go is not an ending, but a beginning? What if it is the very act that sets you free, that allows you to finally breathe, that opens the doors to blessings you have not yet imagined? What if this separation is not rejection, but protection? God does not ask you to release without purpose. He does not ask you to walk away without having already prepared a new path for you. But the challenge is trusting what you cannot yet see, believing in what has not yet manifested, knowing that the very thing you are afraid to let go of is what is standing between you and your next level. You cannot receive what is meant for you if your hands are still full of what no longer belongs to you. You cannot step into your future while dragging the past behind you. The weight is too heavy. The burden is not yours to carry. And yet you hold on. Letting go does not mean you did not love them. It does not mean you did not try. It does not mean you failed. It means you are choosing yourself. It means you are honoring the voice within you that says, I deserve more. It means you are trusting God enough to follow where He leads, even when the path is unclear. And though your heart may break, though tears may fall, though the nights may be long and lonely, there will come a day when you understand why things had to happen this way. There will come a day when you look back and see the divine orchestration, how every loss was actually a gain, how every closed door was leading you to something better, how every goodbye was making space for the right people to enter your life. You do not need to force what is meant to be. Love, respect, and true connection do not require begging, chasing, or compromising your worth. If someone cannot see the value of your presence, they do not deserve a place in your future. If someone repeatedly chooses to hurt you, to disregard you, to make you feel unworthy, that is your sign. That is your answer. And no matter how much you love them, no matter how much history you share, you must love yourself enough to walk away. People will show you who they are through their actions. Believe them. Do not rewrite the story. Do not create excuses for behavior that does not align with love. If they wanted to stay, they would. If they truly valued you, they would show it. If they were meant to be a part of your future, God would not be asking you to release them. Holding onto something God is trying to remove will only cause you more pain. It will delay your blessings. It will block what is truly meant for you. And the longer you resist, the harder the lesson will become. You have already seen the signs. The energy has shifted. The connection is not the same. The conversations are forced. The love that once felt effortless now feels like a battle. You keep trying, keep hoping, keep praying that things will go back to the way they were. But they won't. Because God is calling you higher. He is calling you out of spaces that no longer nurture your soul. He is calling you into a season of healing, of renewal, of divine transformation. And in order to receive it, you must be willing to let go of everything that is no longer serving you. The pain of release is temporary. The peace that follows is eternal. But you must be brave enough to trust that what is ahead is greater than what is behind. You must believe that God's plan for you is far beyond what you can imagine. He sees the road ahead. He knows what is waiting for you, and He is asking you to trust Him, even when it feels like you are walking into the unknown. What if the love you have been praying for is waiting just beyond this chapter? What if the peace you have been longing for is on the other side of this release? What if the very thing you are afraid to lose is what is keeping you from your breakthrough? God does not take without purpose. He does not remove without replacing. But He needs you to surrender. He needs you to trust that His plan is greater than your attachment. You are being set free. You are being prepared for something greater. The people who could not see your worth, the ones who took your love for granted, the ones who could not appreciate the light within you, they were never meant to stay. They were a part of your journey, but not your destination. And though it hurts, though it feels like you are losing something precious, know that you are actually gaining everything. You are gaining yourself, your peace, your purpose, your divine alignment. The love you truly deserve will not require you to suffer. The relationships meant for you will not bring confusion, inconsistency, or pain. God is not the author of chaos. He is the author of clarity. And when something is truly meant for you, it will flow, it will be effortless, it will feel like home. So if you are struggling, if you are in turmoil, if your heart is heavy with uncertainty, that is your answer. That is your sign that you are holding on to something that is not meant for you. It is time to let go, to release the fear, to trust in what is unseen, to walk forward with faith, knowing that you are being divinely guided. You may not see it now, but one day you will thank God for removing what was never meant to stay. One day you will understand that every tear, every goodbye, every loss was actually a blessing in disguise. One day you will look back and realize that God was not taking from you, He was saving you. You are being called to something greater. You are being prepared for something divine. Do not let fear keep you from your destiny. Let go. Move forward. Trust the process. God has already gone before you. The best is yet to come. There comes a moment when you must decide. Do you stay in a place where you are merely tolerated, or do you walk forward into the life where you are fully embraced? This is the moment of surrender. The moment where God is speaking directly to your heart, asking you to trust Him, to believe in what He has prepared for you, even though you cannot see it yet. And yet fear grips you. The unknown seems vast, uncharted, unfamiliar. You want to hold on, to cling to what you have known, to keep fighting for something that God has already declared finished. But no matter how tightly you grip, no matter how much you try to hold the pieces together, you feel it slipping away. And deep down you know you were never meant to stay here. God never removes without reason. He never asks you to let go without already having something greater prepared. But the human heart resists change. It fights against discomfort. It wants certainty, assurance, a clear sign that what is ahead is better than what is behind. But faith does not work that way. Faith asks you to step out while you are still afraid. Faith asks you to trust in the unseen. Faith asks you to believe that the same God who created you has not forgotten you, has not abandoned you, and will never lead you into emptiness. You are being redirected, repositioned, renewed. What once felt like rejection is actually divine protection. What seemed like loss is actually gain. You are being emptied of what is no longer serving you, so that you may be filled with what is divinely meant for you. But until you let go, until you surrender, you cannot receive it. You cannot grasp the future while your hands are still full of the past. You cannot embrace what is meant for you while you are still mourning what was never truly yours. You saw the signs, you felt the shift, you knew long before this moment that something was not right. The energy was different. The words stopped matching the actions. The love that once felt like a sanctuary became something that brought more pain than peace. And still you held on, hoping, praying, waiting for things to change. But they did not, because God was calling you out. Because He was showing you that you deserve more. Because He was showing you that you deserve more. Because He was preparing you for something far greater than you ever imagined. People often stay in places where their soul no longer belongs because they fear being alone. They fear the emptiness, the silence, the uncertainty. But what if the solitude is not punishment, but preparation? What if the quiet is not loneliness, but a sacred space where God is trying to speak to you, trying to heal you, trying to realign you with your true purpose? What if this is not the end, but the beginning of something so divine, so beautiful, so life-changing, that you will one day look back and weep with gratitude that you had the courage to walk away? Letting go does not mean forgetting. It does not mean that the love you had was not real, that the moments you shared were not meaningful, that the connection was not significant. It means you are releasing the attachment to something that is no longer aligned with your destiny. It means you are choosing yourself. It means you are saying, God, I trust you. Even though this hurts, even though I don't understand, even though my heart is breaking, I trust that what you have for me is greater than what I am leaving behind. There is a version of you waiting on the other side of this, a version of you that is whole, a version of you that is healed, a version of you that no longer settles for less than what God has intended. But you must walk through the fire to become that version. You must be willing to feel the grief, to sit with the discomfort, to trust that even in the pain God is working. And though it may not make sense now, though the tears may feel endless, Though the nights may seem unbearably long, there will come a day when you understand. There will come a day when you look back and see how every closed door, every goodbye, every painful ending was necessary for your transformation. You are not being punished. You are being positioned. You are not being abandoned. You are being set free. But the choice is yours. Will you stay where you no longer belong, or will you trust God enough to move forward? Will you keep begging for something that is not meant for you, or will you surrender to the divine plan that has already been written for your life? The world will tell you that holding on is strength, that fighting for something is what makes you worthy. But true strength is knowing when to walk away. True faith is trusting even when you cannot see. True courage is saying, God, I release this. I surrender this. I will not chase, I will not beg, I will not hold on to something you have already removed from my life. And in that surrender, something shifts. The weight lifts. The anxiety fades. The pain, though still present, no longer controls you. Because in that moment, you remember who you are. You remember whose you are. You remember that you were never meant to suffer for love, never meant to chase what is meant to stay, never meant to live in a state of fear, of uncertainty, of desperation. What God has for you is already yours. The love that is meant for you will not require you to lose yourself. The purpose that is meant for you will not bring confusion. The blessings that are meant for you will not feel like a battle. When something is divinely aligned, it flows. It does not force. It does not require you to beg, to chase, to break yourself into pieces just to make it fit. So this is your moment to choose faith over fear, your moment to let go of what no longer serves you, your moment to step into the fullness of what God has been preparing for you all along. It may not feel easy, it may not make sense, but one day, when you are standing in the middle of the life you once prayed for, you will understand why they had to happen. You will understand why God whispered to your soul, let them go. I have something greater for you. And when that day comes, you will not mourn what was lost. You will rejoice in what was found, because you will finally see that every ending was really a beginning, that every closed door was leading you somewhere divine, that every painful goodbye was God's way of setting you free. There is a version of you that exists beyond this heartbreak, beyond this moment of pain, beyond the attachment that has kept you bound. You may not see it yet, but it is there, waiting for you to embrace it, to step into it, to claim it as your own. But first, you must let go. You must release what is no longer serving your highest good. You must trust that God is not taking something away from you to harm you, but to heal you. So often we resist the very things that are meant to free us. We hold on because we are afraid to start over. We cling to relationships that drain us, to situations that break us, to cycles that leave us empty. And we wonder why we feel lost, why we feel unfulfilled, why we feel like no matter how much we try, nothing changes. The truth is, nothing changes because we refuse to change. We refuse to let go. We refuse to trust the process of divine alignment. There is something powerful about surrender. When you stop forcing, stop chasing, stop trying to control what was never yours to control, you make space for miracles. You make space for the love that is meant to find you. You make space for the peace that is meant to fill you. You make space for the purpose that is calling your name. But when your hands are clenched, when your heart is holding on to what is already gone, you block the very blessings that are trying to reach you. God knows what is best for you. He sees beyond what you can see. You may be looking at this moment through the lens of loss, but God sees the victory that is unfolding. You may think you are losing something, but in reality, you are gaining clarity. You are gaining freedom. You are gaining the opportunity to realign with your destiny. And what a gift that is. To be redirected, to be positioned, to be prepared for something greater. This pain is temporary. This heartbreak will not define you. This season of letting go is not the end of your story. It is merely the chapter where you learn what true faith looks like. Faith is not believing when everything is going well. Faith is trusting when everything is falling apart. Faith is standing in the middle of uncertainty and declaring that you are still blessed, still favored, still chosen by God. You were never meant to live in struggle. You were never meant to force love. You were never meant to beg for attention, for validation, for someone to see your worth. You are already worthy. You are already loved. You are already whole. And the moment you recognize that, the moment you stop seeking outside of yourself for something that only God can give, you will feel the weight lift. You will feel the peace enter. You will feel the shift in your spirit that tells you, this is where you are meant to be. Not everyone is meant to stay. Not everyone is meant to walk with you into the next chapter, and that is okay. It does not mean they were not important. It does not mean they were not a part of your journey. It simply means their role in your story has ended. And just like a book, you cannot keep rereading the same chapter and expect to move forward. You must turn the page. You must trust that the story ahead is worth reading, worth experiencing, worth embracing with an open heart. You may feel like you are walking away empty-handed, but you are not. You are walking away with wisdom. You are walking away with strength. You are walking away with the lesson that not everything is meant to be held on to. And in that lesson, there is power. Power to create a new life. Power to love yourself more deeply. Power to walk with confidence. Knowing that what is meant for you will never require you to betray yourself in order to keep it. It is time to release. It is time to breathe again. It is time to believe that the best is not behind you but ahead of you. The past served its purpose. It taught you what you needed to learn. But now it is time to move forward with grace, with trust, with the unwavering faith that you are being guided to something far greater than anything you are leaving behind. One day, you will look back at this moment and smile. You will see how every loss was actually a gain. You will understand why certain doors had to close. You will realize that what you thought was a setback was actually a setup for something divine. And in that moment, you will not mourn what you lost. You will celebrate what you found. Yourself, your strength, your unshakable faith, and most importantly, the life God always intended for you, and the life God always intended for you. There is a divine order to all things, and what seems like an ending is merely a transition. You have spent so much energy trying to hold on, believing that if you just do more, give more, sacrifice more, things will change. But deep in your heart, you know the truth. You know that God has been whispering to you, nudging you, sending you signs that it is time to move on. Yet fear has kept you in place. Fear of the unknown. Fear of being alone. Fear of walking away from what feels familiar. But familiarity does not always mean destiny. Just because something has been a part of your life does not mean it was meant to last forever. You were created for more than struggle. You were created for more than begging for love, for attention, for someone to choose you. You were chosen before the foundation of the world. You were set apart for something greater. Yet you have been settling for less because you do not fully believe in your worth. God is telling you now, let go, not because you are being punished, but because you are being prepared for something better. Growth is painful, change is uncomfortable, but stagnation is far worse. How many nights have you cried out, asking for a sign? How many times have you prayed for clarity, for strength, for direction? And yet when the answer comes, you resist it. You rationalize staying. You justify the suffering. But God does not call you to remain in places where your spirit is suffocated. He calls you to life, to abundance, to freedom. And that freedom begins with a single act of faith, the courage to walk away. Everything in your life is unfolding exactly as it should. You may not understand it now. It may not make sense in this moment. But trust that there is a greater picture, a higher purpose. The things you thought you needed, the people you thought would be with you forever, if they are being removed, it is because they have fulfilled their role in your story. To try to hold on is to resist divine alignment. And when you resist, you prolong your suffering. The moment you surrender, the moment you say, God, I trust you, a weight will lift. The burden you have carried will begin to fade. The sleepless nights, the racing thoughts, the anxiety of trying to make something work that was never meant to, those will be replaced with a peace that surpasses all understanding. That is what happens when you stop trying to force what is already finished. Letting go is not losing. Letting go is not giving up. Letting go is stepping into alignment. It is an act of faith. It is declaring that you trust God's plan more than your own desires. It is choosing yourself, your peace, your future over the comfort of what is familiar but no longer fulfilling. You have outgrown this place, you have outgrown this version of yourself, and now you must make the decision to rise, to step into the unknown, to embrace the discomfort, to trust that even though you cannot see the whole path, the next step will always be revealed. The same God who brought you this far will not abandon you now. The same God who opened doors in the past will open new ones. But first you must close the ones that are no longer meant for you. One day you will look back and realize that this moment, this painful, difficult moment, was the beginning of everything you prayed for. The breakthrough you've been seeking is on the other side of your obedience. The life you have been longing for begins the moment you choose to let go. And when you finally step into that new reality, you will not regret the things you left behind. You will only wonder why you waited so long. You may feel the weight of this moment pressing against your soul, the pain of separation lingering in your heart, the uncertainty of the future causing fear to rise within you. But what if you knew, deep down, that this very moment of release is what will lead you to the greatest transformation of your life? What if you understood that letting go is not an act of weakness, but an act of ultimate faith? What if you realized that everything that is leading you is only making space for something far greater? The human heart clings to what is familiar, even when familiarity brings suffering. You have prayed for change, but are you willing to accept the way change comes? You have asked for elevation, but are you prepared to leave behind what weighs you down? You have sought peace, but are you ready to walk away from what disturbs your spirit? Too often the answers to our prayers come disguised as endings, as disappointments, as separations that feel unbearable. But what if this is not the end at all? What if this is the divine redirection you have been waiting for? Every great transformation begins with release. A seed does not become a tree without first breaking open. A caterpillar does not become a butterfly without leaving behind its cocoon. And you will not become who you are meant to be without shedding the past that has kept you bound. You cannot hold on to what is comfortable and step into your destiny at the same time. One must be sacrificed for the other. And God is asking you now, which will you choose? Will you choose the known pain of the past or the unknown promise of your future? You have stayed in this place for too long. You have tried to make it work. You have given your all. But now God is calling you higher. And if you ignore the call, if you refuse to move, if you keep holding on, you will only delay the blessings that are waiting for you. The longer you resist, the more painful the lesson becomes. The longer you hold on, the more you drain your own spirit. But the moment you decide to trust, to surrender, to finally let go, you will feel the shift. You will feel the weight lift. You will realize that what you thought you needed was only keeping you small. Your life was never meant to be lived in struggle. Your heart was never meant to carry this much sorrow. Your spirit was never meant to shrink in order to fit into places where you were never truly seen. The moment you accept that, the moment you stop settling, you will understand that you are not losing, you are being set free. Free from expectations that were never yours to meet. Free from relationships that drained you instead of filled you. Free from cycles of disappointment that kept you trapped in the past. God has something better for you. He has joy for you. He has love for you. He has a life so abundant, so fulfilling, so peaceful that the moment you step into it, you will look back at this moment of letting go and realize It was the greatest gift you ever received. But you must trust, you must take the step. You must believe that what is leaving your life is not a loss, but a blessing in disguise. You were never meant to beg for love. You were never meant to prove your worth to people who refuse to see it. You were never meant to keep holding on to something that is already gone. When God closes a door, it is not your job to stand there knocking. When He removes something from your life, it is not your place to chase after it. What is meant for you will not require force. What is meant for you will not require you to break yourself in order to keep it. You may not understand it now, but one day you will. One day you will wake up and the pain will no longer be there. One day you will realize that everything you thought you lost was replaced with something better. One day you will see that the heartbreak was actually healing. The rejection was actually protection. The loss was actually gain. And in that moment you will be grateful that you had the courage to let go. You are stepping into a new season, a season of restoration, a season of clarity, a season where everything that is meant for you will come effortlessly, without force, without struggle, without you having to fight for it. Because that is how God works. He does not bring confusion. He does not bring pain without purpose. He does not take something away unless He is preparing you for something greater. Trust that greater is coming. Trust that peace is on the other side of this pain. Trust that one day you will look back at this very moment and realize that this was the day you reclaimed your power. This was the day you chose yourself. This was the day you finally let go and made space for the life God always had waiting for you. One day you will look back at this moment and realize it was the turning point. The moment you chose faith over fear, peace over pain, and destiny over familiarity. What felt like loss was actually grace. What seemed like an ending was the beginning of something greater. You were never abandoned. You were being guided. You were never forgotten. You were being prepared. Trust that what is ahead is far greater than what you are leaving behind. Walk forward with courage, knowing that when you let go, you are not falling. You are finally rising. The armor of God, dear friends, is not some external shield to be worn on the body, but a powerful, invisible force that surrounds and strengthens the very core of your being. To put on the armor of God is to align yourself with the divine energy that exists within you, and recognize that this armor is not a mere protection, but a living, breathing expression of God's will in your life. It is the understanding that the battle is not against flesh and blood, but against the unseen forces that seek to deceive you, to lead you away from your true power. When you put on the armor of God, you are not simply arming yourself for spiritual defense, you are embodying the very nature of God's truth, righteousness, and peace. Every piece of the armor is a divine expression of God's power within you. The first part is the belt of truth. This is the foundation upon which you stand. Truth is not just a concept, it is the very fabric of your reality. To wear this belt is to fully accept the truth of who you are, God's chosen divine being. No matter the external circumstances, the truth that you are one with God remains unshakable. Next, the breastplate of righteousness. This is not the righteousness of your actions, but the righteousness of knowing that God has made you whole. It is the understanding that in God you are perfect and complete, without fault. This armor protects your heart, guarding your emotional and spiritual well-being, for it is through the heart that you connect with the divine. When you wear the breastplate of righteousness, you stand firm in the knowledge that you are always worthy of love, grace, and divine favor. The shoes of peace are what allow you to walk through life with stability and confidence. In the natural world, shoes protect your feet, but in the spiritual realm, they ensure that your steps are guided by peace. Wherever you walk, peace follows you, because you carry the assurance that God's peace transcends all understanding. When you wear the shoes of peace, you are unshaken by external circumstances. You are rooted in the knowledge that no matter what chaos may unfold, you are standing on the firm foundation of God's love. The shield of faith is not an object held before you, but an invisible force that repels all doubt and negativity. Faith is not simply belief. It is the confident knowing that God's promises are real and will manifest. It is an inner certainty that no matter what happens in the physical world, you are divinely protected. Faith allows you to see beyond the present moment into the reality that God has already secured your victory. With this shield, no weapon formed against you can prosper, for you know that God's word is law, and the promises of God are yes and amen. The helmet of salvation is the mind of Christ, the divine consciousness that you are whole, saved, and protected. To wear this helmet is to know that you are a child of God, and no lie or fear can penetrate your thoughts. It is through this helmet that your thoughts are protected and guided by divine wisdom. The helmet of salvation guards your mind from negativity, from the false beliefs that seek to distract you from your true purpose. It is the knowing that in God you have already been saved, that you are already victorious, and that you are already one with the divine. The sword of the Spirit, which is the word of God. This is not a physical sword, but the power of the spoken word. Words are powerful, for they create your reality. The word of God spoken in faith cuts through the darkness, dispels doubt, and brings forth the truth. When you speak the word of God, you speak from the place of divine power, knowing that what you say is what you create. The sword is not used in defense, but in creation. It is the active force that shapes your world and brings forth the manifestation of your desires. To truly put on the armor of God is to align with the divine truth, to recognize that you are already equipped with all that you need. It is not about fighting against something outside of you, but embracing the divine power within. The secret of the armor of God is that it is not a physical garment you put on, but a mental and spiritual state of being. It is the acknowledgement of your divine nature, your oneness with the Creator, and your unshakable faith that you are never alone, never unprotected, and never without the tools to manifest your highest good. When you wear the armor of God, you are living from the truth of your divine identity. The secret is knowing that you are already the victor, already equipped with all that you need. The armor of God is not something you put on from the outside. It is something you acknowledge and embody from within. It is the realization that you are more powerful than any external force, and that, with God, all things are possible. When you walk in this truth, you are not just protected, you are unstoppable, for you are wearing the very essence of divine power. To truly understand the depth of the armor of God, it is essential to grasp the profound nature of spiritual warfare. This battle, dear friends, is not one of physical force, but one of consciousness. The world around you, with all its distractions and negativity, is constantly attempting to influence your thoughts and beliefs. It is in your thoughts that the battle is won or lost. The armor of God is, therefore, not just for the moments when you face external challenges. It is for every moment of your life. It is a state of being, a mindset that allows you to live above the noise and chaos of the world, grounded in the truth of your divine nature. The belt of truth, the foundation upon which the armor rests, is not just a simple acknowledgement of facts. It is an internal knowing. Truth, in the divine sense, is the knowledge that you are one with God, that there is no separation between you and the Creator. This truth is unshakable, eternal, and unchanging. No matter what circumstances you face, no matter what challenges arise, the truth remains that you are a child of God, destined for greatness. When you wear this truth as your belt, you are grounded in the understanding that your thoughts, beliefs, and actions are aligned with this higher truth. This truth is the key to unlocking all the blessings that God has already placed in your life. It is through this truth that you begin to recognize the power of your thoughts. The mind is where the real battle takes place. Every thought you entertain shapes the reality you experience. The belt of truth helps you stay anchored in the knowing that your mind is a powerful tool for creation. It is not enough to simply believe in God's truth. You must actively align your thoughts with it. The moment you allow doubt, fear, or negativity to take root in your mind, you are stepping out of alignment with the divine. But when you put on the belt of truth, you are constantly reminded of your divine power. The breastplate of righteousness serves as a powerful protector for the heart. The heart is the seat of your emotions, your desires, and your deepest longings. It is where your connection with God resides, and it is through the heart that your highest desires are manifested. When you wear the breastplate of righteousness, you are shielding your heart from the lies that say you are unworthy, unlovable, or undeserving of God's blessings. Righteousness in this context is not about being perfect. It is about knowing that through God you are already made whole. You are complete just as you are. This understanding shifts your perspective. Instead of constantly striving to become worthy or deserving, you begin to operate from the knowing that you are already worthy. You are already accepted. You are already loved by God. This deep inner knowing frees you from the burdens of guilt, shame, and self-doubt. With the breastplate of righteousness protecting your heart, you can move forward in life with the confidence that you are walking in alignment with the divine. No matter what external circumstances may arise, your heart remains secure in the truth of God's love. The shoes of peace are a reminder that no matter where you go, you are a carrier of peace. These shoes are not simply worn to protect you from the harshness of the world, but to ensure that wherever you step, peace follows you. Peace is not something external that you seek, it is something you embody. The peace that surpasses all understanding is not found in external circumstances, but in the knowing that God is with you, guiding your every step. When you wear the shoes of peace, you are walking in harmony with the divine. You no longer allow external events to disturb your inner peace. This peace is not the absence of conflict, but the presence of God in the midst of it. The true power of the shoes of peace is that they allow you to navigate through the challenges of life without being shaken. When you are at peace with yourself and with God, you can walk confidently through any storm. No matter how turbulent the world may seem, your peace remains intact, for it is anchored in the understanding that you are never alone, never abandoned, and never without divine guidance. The shield of faith, which repels all negativity and doubt, is a constant reminder that your thoughts are the key to your reality. Faith is the foundation of all creation. Without faith, nothing is possible. With faith, all things are possible. The shield of faith allows you to block out the false beliefs that attempt to tell you that you are powerless or insignificant. Faith shields you from the lies that tell you that your dreams are impossible, your desires are unattainable, or your prayers are unanswered. Faith is not about waiting for external proof or evidence. It is the inner knowing that what you desire is already yours. When you wear the shield of faith, you are holding fast to this inner knowing, regardless of what the external world may present. Faith is the bridge between the invisible and the visible, between what you desire and what you experience. The moment you activate your faith, you begin to see the evidence of things hoped for. Your faith becomes the very substance of your desires, bringing them into manifestation. The helmet of salvation is a powerful protection for your mind. The mind is the battlefield where the most intense struggles occur. It is where you either accept or reject the truth of your divine nature. The helmet of salvation guards your mind from the thoughts that seek to keep you in a state of lack, limitation, and fear. Salvation, in this context, is the recognition that you are already whole, already saved, and already one with God. This awareness transforms your thoughts and brings them into alignment with divine truth. With the helmet of salvation, you no longer see yourself as a victim of circumstances, but as a powerful co-creator with God. You recognize that you have been given the power to change your thoughts, to change your beliefs, and to change your reality. The helmet of salvation allows you to see the world through the eyes of God, knowing that all things are possible to those who believe. When you wear this helmet, you protect your mind from the distractions and deceptions of the world, and you align your thoughts with the divine truth that you are already saved, already protected, and already victorious. The sword of the Spirit is the final piece of the armor, and it is the most powerful weapon in your arsenal. The sword is not something you wield in defense, but in creation. The sword is the word of God, and when you speak the word, you are speaking the language of creation. The word of God has the power to bring forth life, to transform circumstances, and to manifest your desires. The key to wielding the sword effectively is to understand that your words are not just sounds or symbols. They are the very building blocks of reality. Every word you speak creates an impression in your subconscious mind, and your subconscious mind is the creative force behind your external world. When you speak the word of God, you are aligning your subconscious mind with the divine, allowing it to create the reality you desire. The sword of the Spirit cuts through the darkness, dispels fear, and brings forth the light of divine truth. Putting on the armor of God is not about physically wearing a set of garments, but about embodying the divine power and protection that God has already given you. Each piece of the armor represents a spiritual truth that, when understood and applied, transforms your life. The armor of God is not something you put on once and forget about. It is a daily practice of aligning your thoughts, beliefs, and actions with the divine truth of your being. When you live in this truth, you are invincible, for no weapon formed against you can prosper. You are divinely protected, divinely guided, and divinely empowered to manifest your highest good. The armor of God is not a defense against the world, but a declaration that you are one with the divine, and in that unity all things are possible. It is essential to remember that the armor of God is not a one-time event or an action you take only in moments of crisis. It is a state of being, a continuous practice of recognizing and embodying the divine protection and strength that is inherently yours. This is the secret of the armor. It is not about what you are fighting against, but about what you are aligning with. Every time you consciously choose to put on the armor of God, you are aligning yourself with the infinite power and wisdom that created the universe. You are stepping into a higher vibration, a place where nothing can harm you, where you are untouched by the chaos of the world around you. In the world we live in today, it is easy to become distracted by external circumstances. The pressures of life, the negativity in the media, the opinions of others, all of these things seek to shift your focus away from the divine truth of your being. But when you put on the armor of God, you are consciously choosing to tune out the noise and tune in to the voice of the divine. You are choosing to see with the eyes of faith, to trust that everything is working together for your highest good. This is not an empty hope, but a deep, abiding knowing that transcends the physical world. Each piece of the armor, when fully embraced, empowers you to navigate life with unwavering confidence. The belt of truth helps you recognize that the truth you seek is not something external that you must find, but something already within you. Truth is not just an intellectual understanding, but a deeper spiritual knowing that flows from the very essence of your being. When you align with this truth, you are no longer subject to the changing tides of public opinion or the shifting winds of worldly trends. You are anchored in the eternal truth that God is within you, guiding you and providing everything you need. This truth cannot be shaken or altered. It is the foundation upon which your life is built, and when you stand firm in it, you cannot be moved. The breastplate of righteousness, with its ability to protect the heart, ensures that no false belief can penetrate the core of your being. It is through the heart that your desires are realized, and it is through the heart that you experience the fullness of life. The righteousness you wear is not of your own making. It is the righteousness of God, given freely to you. This is not a righteousness that is earned through works or deeds, but one that is bestowed upon you through grace. And when you wear this righteousness, you are protected from the thoughts and feelings that would seek to diminish your worth. You are reminded that you are always worthy of love, abundance, and divine favor, no matter the circumstances you face. This understanding of your inherent worth shields you from the opinions of others and from the fear of not being enough. You walk through life with your heart open, unafraid to love, unafraid to give, and unafraid to receive the blessings that God has prepared for you. The shoes of peace are your constant companions as you walk through the world, and they serve to remind you that peace is not something you must seek outside of yourself, but something you carry within. It is through the shoes of peace that you can walk into any situation, no matter how chaotic or uncertain, and remain centered in your divine nature. When you wear the shoes of peace, you walk as a living testament to the truth that peace is not dependent on your circumstances. The external world may be full of turmoil, but within you there is peace that passes all understanding. This peace allows you to see beyond the surface of things, to recognize the divine order that is always at work, even when things appear to be falling apart. Peace is the underlying current that connects you to the infinite wisdom and guidance of God. It is through this peace that you are able to make decisions from a place of clarity rather than reacting to the noise and distraction of the world. The shield of faith, a powerful force that repels all doubt and negativity, is your constant protection against the lies that would seek to keep you from your highest potential. Faith is the belief in things not seen, the inner conviction that your desires are already fulfilled in the spiritual realm, even if they have not yet manifested in the physical. When you hold up the shield of faith, you are affirming your trust in the unseen, your belief that what God has promised is already on its way. You are not waiting for evidence to appear. You are acting as though it has already been manifested. The shield of faith allows you to stand firm in the face of opposition, knowing that you are not moved by appearances. You are moved by the unshakable knowing that all things work together for good, that God's plan for you is perfect, and that your desires are already on their way. The helmet of salvation is not just a form of protection for your mind, but a reminder that you are already saved. Salvation in this context is the realization that you are already whole, already perfect, already one with God. This understanding shifts your perception of yourself and the world around you. When you wear the helmet of salvation, you are no longer viewing yourself through the lens of limitation or imperfection. You are seeing yourself as God sees you, whole, perfect, and complete. Your mind is no longer a battlefield of doubt and fear, but a place of peace and clarity. Your thoughts are aligned with the divine, and they reflect the truth of your being. The helmet of salvation protects you from the lies that say you are not enough, that you are lacking in any way. It serves as a constant reminder that you are a beloved child of God, and in this truth you are already saved from all that would seek to harm or diminish you. The sword of the Spirit, the Word of God, is the most powerful weapon you possess. It is not a weapon for destruction, but for creation. The Word of God is creative, life-giving, and filled with the power to manifest your deepest desires. When you speak the Word of God, you are speaking into existence the reality you wish to experience. The sword is not merely a tool for defense, but an active force for creation. Every word you speak is a creative act. It is through your words that you give life to your desires, and it is through the sword of the Spirit that you cut through the illusions and false beliefs that seek to bind you. The Word of God is truth, and when you align your words with this truth, you are calling forth your highest good into existence. The sword of the Spirit is not a weapon of war, but a tool for peace. It is through the Word of God that you bring about healing, prosperity, and abundance in your life. The sword cuts through the lies, dispels the darkness, and creates a path for divine light to enter your experience. This, dear friends, is the secret of the armor of God. It is not a passive defense, but an active living force that you can align with at any moment. Each piece of the armor represents a divine truth that, when fully embraced, empowers you to walk through life with confidence, clarity, and power. The armor of God is not something you put on once and forget about. It is something you wear constantly because it is who you are. When you live in alignment with the truth of your divine nature, you are invincible. You are divinely protected, divinely guided, and divinely empowered. No weapon formed against you can prosper, for you are already equipped with everything you need to manifest your highest good. When you put on the armor of God, you are not just preparing for battle, you are preparing for victory. The victory is already yours. You are walking in the truth that you are a child of God, and nothing can separate you from His love, His protection, or His provision. The armor of God is a reminder that you are already whole, already perfect, already powerful. And when you align with this truth, nothing in the world can stand against you. You are unstoppable, for you are one with the divine, and in that oneness, all things are possible. As you continue to walk in this divine armor, there is a profound realization that every piece is not separate but interconnected. Each piece reinforces the other, creating a powerful, cohesive whole. The belt of truth, for example, works in unison with the breastplate of righteousness. Truth is the foundation, the ground upon which righteousness can stand. Without truth, righteousness would lack purpose, for truth is what defines right from wrong, good from evil. When you wear the belt of truth, you align yourself with the divine principles that underlie all creation, and righteousness becomes the natural outflow of your actions. The same can be said for the shoes of peace. When you truly wear the shoes of peace, you walk not just in calmness, but in the knowing that peace comes from a deep understanding of your true identity. Peace is not a fleeting emotion, but a constant state of being that arises from knowing that you are connected to the divine source of all things. It is not merely the absence of conflict, but the presence of divine alignment. This peace protects your heart, your mind, and your spirit, allowing you to walk through the world with a sense of serenity no matter the external circumstances. As you move forward in life, the shield of faith becomes your constant companion. This shield is not a passive tool, but an active force that works to protect you from negative influences. It doesn't just block the attacks of fear, doubt, and negativity, it transforms them. Faith, when used as a shield, takes these negative energies and transmutates them into opportunities for growth and enlightenment. Each time you face a challenge, you have the choice to either be defeated by it or to use it as a stepping stone to strengthen your faith. When you choose faith over fear, the shield grows stronger. It becomes an impenetrable force, one that shields you not just from harm, but from the very illusions that would try to convince you that harm is even possible. This is the power of faith. It doesn't just protect you from external forces, but from the self-imposed limitations that arise within your mind. The helmet of salvation is the protector of your thoughts. It guards your mind against the lies and negative thought patterns that seek to pull you away from the truth of who you are. Your mind is the battleground, where every thought is either in alignment with the divine truth or in opposition to it. The helmet of salvation serves as a reminder that you have already been saved. This salvation is not just a past event or a future promise, but a present reality. It is the knowledge that you have been saved from the lies that say you are not enough, that you are separate from God, or that you are powerless. When you wear the helmet of salvation, you are consciously choosing to see yourself as God sees you, whole, perfect, and complete. Your thoughts align with this truth, and as a result, your life begins to reflect it. This helmet is not a mere protective covering. It is a powerful instrument that shifts your entire mindset, allowing you to view the world through the lens of divine truth. And then there is the sword of the Spirit, the Word of God. This sword is not a weapon to be used against others, but a tool for creation and transformation. The Word of God is alive and powerful, sharper than any two-edged sword, cutting through the lies and false beliefs that try to bind you. It is the creative force that brings your desires into manifestation. When you speak the Word of God, you are not just repeating a set of phrases, you are invoking divine power into your life. The sword of the Spirit is the tool by which you reshape your reality. Each word you speak is a decree that brings your world into alignment with divine will. The power of the word is not limited to the spoken word either. Your thoughts, your feelings, and your intentions are all part of the creative process. The sword of the Spirit is a reminder that you have been given the power to speak life into any situation. When you speak with divine authority, you are claiming your birthright as a child of God and manifesting your highest good. The beauty of the armor of God is that it is not something you must acquire or search for. It is already within you. Each piece of the armor represents a divine truth that has been part of you from the very beginning. The key is not in searching outside of yourself for protection or strength, but in remembering what is already within you. The armor of God is the natural expression of your divine identity. When you put it on, you are not becoming something you are not. You are simply awakening to the truth of who you are. The strength, the power, the protection, and the peace you seek are all already within you, waiting to be recognized and activated. This is the secret of the armor. It is not about striving to become something different, but about recognizing and embodying the truth of your divine nature. You are already divinely protected, divinely guided, and divinely empowered. The armor is simply a reminder of this truth. It is not a tool to be used only in times of danger or conflict, but a way of life, a way of being in the world. When you walk through life in alignment with the armor of God, you are walking in the full power and protection of the divine. Nothing can harm you, for you are already covered in the full armor of God's love, wisdom, and power. The key to putting on the armor of God is not in effort, but in surrender. It is about surrendering your will to the divine will, surrendering your limited perception to the limitless truth of who you are. The armor of God is not something you need to struggle to obtain. It is already yours. You simply need to accept it. When you surrender your own desires and align yourself with the divine plan, you are putting on the armor. You are choosing to trust in the truth that you are always protected, always guided, and always provided for. You are choosing to trust that everything in your life is unfolding according to divine timing, and that all things are working together for your good. In moments of challenge, it can be easy to forget the power of the armor. But in those moments, remember that it is precisely during these times that the armor becomes most important. When the world seems to be closing in around you, when doubt and fear threaten to overwhelm you, this is when the armor of God is needed most. In these moments, you have the opportunity to choose to align with the divine armor that is always available to you. You are not alone in these moments. The armor is with you, surrounding you, protecting you, and guiding you. When you remember this, you can stand firm in the knowledge that no matter what happens, you are divinely protected. Putting on the armor of God is a daily practice, a continual reminder of who you are. It is not something you do once and forget about. It is a conscious choice that you make every day. The armor is always with you, waiting for you to acknowledge it, waiting for you to choose to live in alignment with divine truth. When you wear the armor of God, you are not just protecting yourself from external forces, you are stepping into your divine power and purpose. You are affirming that you are a child of God, and that nothing in this world can separate you from His love and protection. Every day, when you consciously put on the armor of God, you are declaring your sovereignty over your life. You are affirming that you are not subject to the whims of the world, but that you are aligned with the infinite power of the divine. This is the secret of the armor. It is not just protection, but empowerment. It is not about hiding from the world, but about walking through it with confidence, knowing that you are divinely equipped to face any challenge. When you put on the armor of God, you are not just surviving, you are thriving. You are walking in the full realization of your divine nature, and nothing in this world can stop you. When you are fully aware of the armor you wear, it becomes more than a mere concept or metaphor. It becomes your living reality. The armor is not something external that you put on in response to danger, but rather an expression of the internal alignment with the divine that has always been a part of you. In the same way that the breath moves freely through your body, the armor of God moves through you, flowing in and around every fiber of your being, providing constant protection, guidance, and strength. The truth is that each piece of this armor, while unique in its symbolic representation, serves a specific purpose that resonates with the very core of your being. The belt of truth doesn't just symbolize honesty, it represents the deep knowing of divine truth, the truth that nothing in your life happens by chance. Every experience, every challenge, every triumph has a deeper meaning and a higher purpose. The belt is a constant reminder that truth is the foundation of everything in your life. It is not something you seek outside of yourself, but rather something that resides within you, waiting to be uncovered. Truth is a living energy, and when you align yourself with it, you become untouchable. The truth is that you are a divine being, connected to the infinite source of all creation. This truth protects you from the lies of limitation, fear, and doubt that the world may try to impose upon you. With the belt of truth securely fastened, you become a force that cannot be swayed by external opinions or negative circumstances. You understand that the external world reflects the internal state of your being, and by embracing divine truth, you shape the world around you into a reflection of your inner peace and strength. The breastplate of righteousness, too, is not just a shield to protect your chest, but a profound symbol of divine alignment. It is righteousness that allows you to stand firm in your power. Righteousness is not about being morally perfect, but about being in alignment with your highest self. It is the state of being in harmony with the divine will, allowing the divine presence to work through you in every thought, word, and action. When you wear the breastplate of righteousness, you recognize that you are inherently worthy and deserving of the blessings of God. You stand tall, unshaken by the doubts or fears that others may project onto you, knowing that you are walking in divine purpose. This righteousness is a protection for your heart, for it keeps you centered in love. It protects you from the harmful influences of judgment, hatred, or unforgiveness. It enables you to maintain a pure heart and a clear mind, regardless of the chaos or negativity that may surround you. The breastplate serves as a reminder that your heart, your intentions, and your actions are aligned with divine law, and that this alignment serves as your shield against the forces of darkness. The shoes of peace are equally transformative. When you wear these shoes, you are not just walking through life, you are walking in divine peace. Peace is not a passive state, but an active force. It is the energy that flows from you and spreads to everyone and everything around you. When you walk in peace, you are not only protecting yourself, but you are bringing peace to every situation, every relationship, and every encounter. Peace is the antidote to fear, the cure for anxiety, and the foundation of divine power. It is the invisible force that underpins every step you take. As you walk through the world in the shoes of peace, you are not merely navigating the surface of reality, you are walking in the higher truth that peace is not dependent on external circumstances, but on your connection to the divine. You are not disturbed by what happens around you, because you know that peace is your true nature. The shoes of peace ground you in this awareness, and remind you that no matter where you go, you bring peace with you. The shield of faith, in its infinite power, acts as a dynamic force in your life. Faith is not a passive belief, but an active, dynamic energy that repels the arrows of fear, doubt, and negativity. Faith is the force that allows you to face the unknown with confidence. It is the power that gives you the strength to trust in the divine timing of your life, even when the path ahead seems unclear. The shield of faith is not about avoiding challenges. It is about meeting those challenges with a sense of unshakable trust that all things are working together for your good. When you carry the shield of faith, you understand that the world may not always make sense, but that you have the power to choose how you respond. You choose to respond with trust, knowing that every challenge is an opportunity for growth, and that every obstacle is an invitation to strengthen your faith. The shield of faith transforms fear into courage, doubt into confidence. It is the energy that empowers you to move forward, no matter what the external circumstances may appear to be. The helmet of salvation is an instrument that protects your mind from the limiting beliefs that would try to cloud your vision. Salvation is not just a distant promise or an abstract concept. It is a present, living reality. The helmet of salvation serves as a constant reminder that you have been saved from the lies of the ego, saved from the false belief that you are separate from the divine. It is the knowing that you are one with the infinite source of creation and that nothing can separate you from this divine connection. When you wear the helmet of salvation, you choose to view life through the lens of divine love and divine purpose. You no longer allow negative thoughts or external judgments to define your reality. Instead, you choose to align with the truth of who you are, an eternal, divine being who is here on this earth to fulfill a divine purpose. The helmet protects your mind from the illusions of fear, limitation, and separation, and allows you to think and act from a place of divine clarity and power. Finally, the sword of the Spirit, the Word of God, is the tool by which you create your reality. The Word is not just a set of religious teachings. It is a living, breathing energy that shapes and transforms the world. The sword of the Spirit is the Word that creates life, the Word that transforms darkness into light, and the Word that brings your desires into manifestation. When you speak the Word, you are not merely repeating a thought. You are invoking the power of creation itself. This sword is not a weapon of destruction, but a tool of creation. It is the tool by which you speak your truth into existence. Every word you speak is a creative act, and when you speak with the authority of divine truth, you shape the world around you. The sword of the Spirit is your tool for manifestation. It is the power that allows you to shape your reality according to divine will. When you speak the word of God, you are declaring that you are in alignment with divine purpose and that you are a co-creator with the infinite source of all things. As you continue to wear the armor of God, it becomes less of an external force and more of an internal state of being. The armor becomes your natural state, a state in which you are constantly aligned with divine truth, peace, love, faith, salvation, and the creative power of the Word. You no longer need to struggle or strive for protection or strength because you understand that you are already divinely equipped. You are not trying to obtain anything you do not already possess. You are simply remembering who you are and allowing that divine power to flow freely through you. The secret to putting on the armor of God is not in the act of forcing it upon yourself, but in the gentle surrender to divine truth. It is in the quiet recognition that you are already divinely protected and empowered. The armor is already yours, and all you need to do is accept it and step into it. When you do, you will find that nothing can shake you, nothing can harm you, and nothing can stand in your way. You are divinely equipped to face every challenge, to manifest your desires, and to fulfill your highest purpose. The armor of God is not just protection, it is empowerment, and it is available to you now. As you continue to embrace the armor of God, you begin to see the world in a new light. The veil of illusion begins to lift, and you come to realize that the armor isn't just something you wear, it is something that lives within you. This divine protection is a natural part of your being, waiting for you to recognize its power and step fully into it. The world may try to tell you that you are weak, that you are limited, or that you are vulnerable to external forces, but the armor of God reminds you that you are not just another person walking through life trying to survive. You are a divine being, intricately connected to the source of all that is, and you are here for a divine purpose. When you wear the armor, you align yourself with that purpose, and it protects you from the external forces that might try to push you off course. And the more you align with the armor of God, the more you begin to see how it permeates every aspect of your life. The belt of truth isn't just a symbol, it is an invitation to live in integrity with your highest self. It means that you stand firm in your truth, regardless of the opinions or judgments of others. It means that you no longer feel the need to hide parts of yourself because you understand that your truth is powerful. The truth is that you are worthy, you are loved, and you are divinely guided. As you allow that truth to penetrate your being, you become invincible. The breastplate of righteousness serves as a constant reminder that you are already righteous. Righteousness is not something you must strive for or earn. It is your natural state. The divine alignment with the truth of who you are is what makes you righteous. When you live in alignment with that truth, you radiate love, kindness, and compassion. This righteousness is your shield, protecting your heart from the harshness of the world. It allows you to approach life from a place of love, not fear. It frees you from the need to prove yourself or to fight for your worthiness, because you know deep down that you are already worthy of all the blessings of the universe. The shoes of peace ground you in the present moment. When you walk through life wearing the shoes of peace, you are not merely moving through time. You are fully present, fully engaged, and fully aligned with divine purpose. Peace becomes your natural state, not something you seek in moments of silence or retreat. It becomes something you carry with you wherever you go. The shoes of peace remind you that no matter what circumstances arise, you have the power to respond from a place of peace. You are not at the mercy of external events. Instead, you are the creator of your inner peace. The shield of faith is the energy that shields you from the negative projections of others. It doesn't matter what the world says about you or what challenges may arise. When you carry the shield of faith, you stand firm in the knowing that the divine is with you. Faith isn't about waiting for something to happen. It's about knowing that all things are already working together for your good. Faith is the energy that turns challenges into opportunities, obstacles into stepping stones, and darkness into light. With faith as your shield, you can face anything with confidence and trust that everything is unfolding as it should. The helmet of salvation protects your mind from the negative thoughts that can limit your potential. Your mind is a powerful tool, and when you align it with the divine, it becomes a force for good. The helmet of salvation is not just protection. It is a transformation of your thoughts. It is the awareness that you have been saved from the illusion of separation, from the belief that you are alone in this world. Salvation means realizing that you are never separate from the divine presence, and that you are always guided, always supported, and always loved. With the helmet of salvation, your mind becomes a tool for creating your highest good, and no negative thought can penetrate it. The sword of the Spirit, the Word of God, is your greatest tool for manifestation. When you speak the Word of God, you speak life into existence. The Word is not just an external force, it is an energy that flows through you. It is the power by which you create your reality. The sword of the Spirit is not just about speaking words, it is about speaking with intention, speaking with conviction, and speaking with the full knowledge that your words have power. The Word is alive, and when you speak in alignment with divine truth, your words become the creative force that shapes your world. The more you embrace the armor of God, the more you begin to see the subtle yet profound changes in your life. The challenges that once seemed insurmountable begin to dissolve before you. The negative patterns that once held you back are replaced by divine clarity and purpose. You start to feel an inner peace that is unshakable, regardless of what is happening around you. You find yourself moving through life with a sense of grace and confidence, knowing that the armor of God is not something you must put on and take off, but something that is always with you, always within you, guiding and protecting you. There may still be moments of doubt, moments when you question whether you are truly equipped for the challenges you face. But these moments are merely opportunities for you to remember the truth of who you are. When you feel doubt creeping in, remember that the armor of God is not just an external shield, but an internal alignment with divine truth. Trust that the armor is always with you, always protecting you, and always guiding you. In moments of fear, the shield of faith strengthens you, reminding you that fear is just an illusion, it is not your reality. In moments of confusion, the helmet of salvation clears your mind, allowing you to see with clarity the divine path before you. In moments of uncertainty, the shoes of peace ground you in the present, reminding you that peace is your natural state and that you are always divinely supported. The armor of God is not just for moments of crisis. It is for every moment of your life. It is not a temporary solution to external challenges, but a permanent state of being. When you align yourself with the armor of God, you are not just protected from the world, you become a living, breathing force of divine power. You become the embodiment of divine truth, peace, love, and power. You move through the world with the knowledge that you are invincible, not because of anything you have done, but because of who you are. You are a divine being wearing the armor of God, and nothing can stand in your way. As you continue to walk through life in the armor of God, you will notice a deep shift in your perception. The world may still appear to be full of challenges and obstacles, but you no longer see them as threats. You see them as opportunities for growth, for the expression of your divine power. With each step, you become more aligned with your highest self. You become more connected to the divine source. You become more of who you were always meant to be. And as you walk in the fullness of that divine alignment, you will come to realize that the armor of God was never something you had to strive to put on. It was always a part of you, waiting to be recognized and embraced. And when you embrace it fully, you will know beyond any doubt that you are divinely equipped to face whatever comes your way. You are divinely protected, divinely guided, and divinely empowered. You are wearing the armor of God, and nothing can defeat you. In conclusion, the armor of God is not a mere protection against external forces. It is the divine alignment with your true self, your inherent power, and the infinite presence of the divine within you. It is a constant reminder that you are more than what you see with your eyes. You are an eternal, invincible being, equipped to face every challenge and rise above it. The armor is not something you must acquire or strive to possess. It is already yours. It is your natural state of being, waiting for you to step into its fullness and embrace the strength, peace, and love that it provides. As you wear the armor, know that you are not alone in this journey. You are always supported, always guided, and always protected. The challenges you face are merely opportunities to strengthen your resolve, to deepen your connection with the divine, and to manifest the highest version of yourself. The more you recognize the power of this armor within you, the more you will see your life transform into a reflection of that divine protection and purpose. So, walk boldly, walk confidently, and know that the armor of God is with you now and always. Embrace it, embody it, and let it guide you as you continue to live in alignment with your divine purpose, knowing that nothing can stand against you when you are wearing the full armor of God.